Hello, chess family. It's me, National Master Jesse James, and it's time for another installment of How to Play the London System. In this one, we're going to be taking a look at, well, the London system versus the King's Indian defense. Definitely one of the most fighting openings against our beloved London. So let's go and take a look about the best strategies we can do when we play against it. All right, here we go. We start with d4, knight f6, knight f3, g6. Here, our opponent has said we are going to play the King's Indian defense. Bishop f4. Now we let them know that we are going to be playing the London system. And well, at this point, we're both going to be fighting over the e5 square. That's what makes this opening so fun. These two going against each other, because in the King's Indian defense, they go for e5. And well, as you can see, white's definitely fighting over the e5 square. All right, bishop g7 gets played. Pawn to e3, pawn to d6, bishop b2. Now this is the correct place to place the bishop because, well, whenever you do play the bishop out, it needs to go to e2 rather than d3. Why is that? When you play it to d3, there's the e5, e4 pushes, and you can actually lose a piece here with the bishop onto d3, if you could just imagine that. Of course, it's going to take a while for that to actually be built up, but after e5, e4, you don't want to be losing a piece here for these tricks, so the bishop typically goes to e2 in a lot of these lines. So bishop e2, castles, pawn to h3, a nice little preparatory move. With this move, we're trying to stop bishop to g4. Just like in a lot of the d4 openings, this bishop on c8 becomes very weak. So a lot of times it just really wants to trade itself off so that it can actually be useful as far as being traded off for a good piece. All right, here black continuing with knight b d7. I don't like this move too much. I do prefer playing like c5 and e5 and putting the knight to c6 in a lot of these lines. Here, castles, and here black goes with the plan of queen to e8. A very typical King's Indian plan, at least when you're playing with white. And the idea here is very simple. Remember that e5, e4 push? Well, here it is. With the bishop on d3, you'd lose a tempo because e5, e4 is coming. And, well, there's really no good way to stop e5 in these lines. Black has more pieces actually to protect this e5 square, which makes sense because this is on their territory. Remember, from 5 and back, this is theirs. From 4 and back, this is naturally ours. All right, well, what's white's best plan here? White's best plan is to go queenside in this game. We're going to see just that. So white goes queenside. And, well, you can open up the center too, because what's black's plan? They're going to try to go kingside attack. And when they're going kingside, well, they're going to try and keep the center closed. Why? If they make more trades, well, that's going to stop them from their objective, which is to attack the king. And so that's why we're trying to open up the queen side and we're trying to open up the center. Worst case scenario, we're happy with an endgame. You know, best case scenario for them is that they can checkmate us. So I'd rather go to an endgame here as white. So let's go queen side. Here we go. Pawn to c4 gets played. e5 gets played. And here, bishop h2. Going with my adage, I would definitely recommend that you play pawn takes and then bishop back. Because again, you have opened up the center, so you allow yourself some more trades in this position. So bishop h2 got played. Knight to e4. Knight b to d2. A good move here, developing the last piece and trying to kick the knight from its great square. Why did black play knight e4 in this situation then? Well, think about it. Black is trying to open up for the kingside attack, so f5 can definitely be in the future here. You have to be careful. If you do play if you're playing black here and you play f5 too soon, you might just be opening up your king for weaknesses, especially later on if the queenside attack goes through. Well, now your king is just vulnerable on the king side. All right, here we go. Knight takes on d2, queen takes on d2. I don't think white can be any happier here. And here black plays the wise move. Pawn to e4, again closing the center. They want to do the kingside attack, so they want to close it here. All right, here it looks like the knight really has no good moves here. So the knight goes ahead and goes to e1 with the idea of going to c2. I hope nobody here was thinking about playing the knight to h4 or to g5 as well. Your knight's just going to be getting trapped over here as there's no good squares to move to. Oof, don't fall for those ones, okay, guys? So here the knight went to e1. And we continue here. Black goes queen e7. Jumping out the way here, we got to connect these rooks. Knight c2 gets played, and knight to f6. Now, this could be the best time to go ahead and play f5 here, but like I said, this is a double-edged move. White's already getting ready to open up on the queen side here, so black is just trying to play a solid game here. That being said, this gives white more opportunity because they're pushing for the win. Knight f6, rook a to c1. Here, there's one square we're trying to get in. There is one square we're trying to get our pawn break at. What is it? All right, hopefully you took a pause. Hopefully you took a look. Where's the next pawn break at? It's going to be at c5 here. Just remember, guys, wherever your pawn structure is pointing, that's where you should attack. Here we go. Pawn f2, e3, d4, and the next one is c5. So we want to get c5 in here. And, well, the c7 is going to be our weak point, just like if you're playing a King's Indian attack as white. If you're playing the white side of the King's Indian defense, the c7 point is a lot of times where you're going to break through on the queen side. All right, well, black goes for it, h5. A nice move, gaining squares over here. A typical idea in the King's Indian attack. Knight to a3, bishop to f5. Again, black is building up just like as if he was playing the Fischer side. And here it comes, pawn to c5. Let's break through. Does black want to trade here? Of course not. He's going to try and keep it closed. The problem here is after d5, well, you can go ahead and look about playing pawn c6 in the future. Mind you, you don't need to play it now because if black rushes to play c6, bishop to d6 gets played and now you've skewered their pieces. So here, let's put pressure on the c7 point. Knight to b5 gets played, hoping that they're going to go ahead and push on c6 here because here, well, knight to d6 is a good move. Bishop to d6 is a move. Here, white is just in a plus position. So, black went ahead and played rook f to c8. Hopefully, he didn't choose the wrong rook and play rook a to c8. Well, knight can just take on a7. Yes, the rook goes back, and after knight b5, you could take on a2 here, but this goes along with white. They want you to play on the queen side. Don't look over at the king side. That's where I'm going to get checkmated. Look over here on the queen side. If you play on their side of the board or against their best strategy, you're just going to be in a bad position. All right, here we go. So in the game, rook f c8 gets played. Queen to a5, knight to e8, really overprotecting this c7 point. But here, again, white just has everything going for him. You know things went right when everything is focused on the side where you're trying to attack. And here, c6, let's open up this queen side. b6 gets played. Now we got a lot of weak points over here. Queen back to a4, queen to e6, knight to c3. Here, white has all the time in the day. You can see the idea here is very simple. I'm going to play bishop a6, bishop b7. I can either win the a7 pawn or just get even a little bit meaner and play like knight b5 afterwards too. And a7 and c7 are going to fall. The queen side has fallen. So what's black's best decision? Well, he's got to go for kingside attack. He's got to go over there and open up the position. Unfortunately, sacrificing on h3 right away won't work because, well, that's only going to leave one piece. You need at least two to checkmate, and they say 3 pieces a mate, and unfortunately, your pieces are just very, very unorganized here, and the bishop can't even get to the right diagonal. All right, rook d8 got played. Bishop to f4, jumping out the way just in case any sneakiness wants to happen, especially ideas like bishop h6, which can be good because, well, they're going to try and open up in the center over here. Bishop f6, looking for the g5 push. And here, white plays very interesting. They didn't have to do this, but they went ahead and decided to open up the king side. Not a decision I like, but it was played in the game. f3 gets played, and now you have this backwards e-pawn. And this actually turns out to be a weakness. So here we go. Game on. Black is excited to see this move. g5 gets played, pushing the bishop away from the defense of this e3 pawn. Bishop back to h2. Pawn takes. Bishop takes. And now, well, pawn to g4. Very nice move here. The queen does take in check here, which you could play, but here g4 comes with more oomph as it's going to kick this bishop back, and the rooks won't be able to come over to harass this queen after the pawn on e3 is taken. At this point, black is actually better in the game. Here we go. Bishop takes on d5. When things are going bad, make complications. Why is that? Well, if you play a regular game, you regularly will know who's going to win, right? Who's ever in the winning position. If you keep playing obvious moves or moves that are not complicated, you know, they just keep playing and chucking along. So when you're in bad positions, try to complicate and make things as complicated as possible. What happens during complications? Mistakes. And this is exactly what happened in this position. All right, here's the question to you. Black to move and win. Do you take on d5 with the rook or take on e3 with the queen? I'll give you 5 seconds. 1, 2, 3, 4. What do you play? All right, hopefully you chose the right move here. Here you're supposed to play rook takes on d5. Of course, it's just a free piece. You're going to be getting 2 for the price of 1. Buy 1, get 1 free over here. So after rook takes, knight takes, queen takes, there really is not too much compensation here. Black is just in a better position. With that being said, I guess time was low, and well, when you're playing against Yusupov, you're going to be making some mistakes, especially psychologically. And unfortunately for Fuller over here, he went ahead and played queen takes on e3 and then goes down pretty fast. Here, king h1, pawn takes on h3, rook over to e1 here. Be careful, hopefully nobody took on f5 over here. Do you see the move? Of course, simple chess. Just queen takes rook on c1. So rook e1 gets played. Now we are threatening to take the bishop over here. Pawn takes on g2 check. No worries. Bishop just takes back. Queen to g5. Knight to e4 here. Queen to g6. Knight takes on f6 check. Knight takes on f6 check. And well, even though black is up the extra pawn, his king is pretty weak. And well, white does have the bishop pair here. The game is very nice here. Queen to b3 gets played. And pawn to a6. Again, unknown why black is playing so very solid or so very weak or meek at the moment. And here it doesn't take long. Here we go. Queen f3. Just winning a piece here. So he tried to do the best he could. Bishop e4. And of course we have to take here on e4. We can't take on f6 here as checkmate in 1 would happen. So rook takes on e4. Knight takes. Queen takes. Queen takes. Bishop takes. Here, white just has the 2 bishops and some beautiful pawns over here. The endgame is a very simple win. Rook takes, rook check. King to f8. Bishop takes on c7. And here, rook e8 got played. Here, can't we just take the bishop? You're definitely more than welcome to. Unfortunately, you just lost your rook. White to move. What do you play here? All right, white to move and win. Bishop to d6 check gets played. And if king e8, well, it's just checkmate in 1. So what happens here? The rook would have to come back. What do you do with pinned pieces? Add pressure. Rook e1. The rook slides over. And here the killer move. Pawn to c7. And now, well, you're going to either lose a piece or you're going to allow the queening over here. So back to the game. Rook e8 gets played. Bishop takes on b6. A nice tempo move off the rook again. And again, we see that this bishop is just taboo. Here the rook went to c4. Okay, why can't we take it this time? After rook takes on e4, simple chess. Always follow the checks. Bishop c5 check gets played. Rook back to e7. And again, we see the same idea of rook to e1 with c7 to come. Oof, okay, so rook c4 got played. Bishop to f3. Rook to e6. And here, pawn to b4, a nice little move here. Here, of course, the rook cannot take, or else bishop c5 check gets played, losing the rook. And yes, you're more than welcome to trade off your rook for the bishop, but, well, there's going to be another passed pawn coming here on the queen side, and with the rook and bishop combo, this is just going to be an easy win. With that being said, Fuller went ahead and resigned here. So what should you take away from this game? Remember, when you're playing against the King's Indian defense with your London system, London Knights, go ahead and go queenside. That's going to be your best chance here. Remember about the c5 pawn break and also c7, which is the typical weakness to break through as far as the weak squares. All right, guys, we'll see you in the next video.